Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Justine with State of Grace Tarot. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Today's video is a recap of the month of March for my tarot practice and just my spiritual practice in general, as well as kind of looking ahead to April, setting my April intentions, putting it out there in the world and, seeing what happens. I'll go through my favorite decks or deck I worked with in March and new decks that I got, what books I've been reading. I did get a few crystals this month, so I'll kind of go through those a little bit, show you those, and, wrap up with what I plan on doing in April. So I feel like March was a pretty transformative month for me in general. Like after feeling really stuck in February, like nothing happened, I felt like I really woke up and started making progress in my tarot journey and my spiritual journey and just in life in general. I felt like I was kind of stuck in the mud in February, and March is really somewhat turbocharged me a little bit. And part of it, I think, was really committing to my meditation practice and really centering myself pretty much on a daily basis. There were some days where I did not meditate, but for the most part, I took, at least 5 minutes to sit and make sure I took a moment each day to really center myself. I also feel like the Lionheart's March Tarot Challenge really helped this month, especially in pairing it with my Serpent Fire deck. This is really the only deck I used in April. In March. And it might be, I want to use some other decks in April, but this deck really kind of helped me tune in and be more aware. And that was the theme of the March tarot prompts with the Lionhearts. Their theme was like awareness and being present. And it really corresponded well with my meditation practice this month. And of course, this card, the Hermit card in March, has really been stalking me, specifically in this deck. This deck just speaks to me on an internal, intuitive level. And I really enjoy it. This deck is pretty much the only one that I used in March. And I had some really great readings and really powerful readings that felt transformative this month that I've really enjoyed. That was Serpent Fire. Thank you, Lionhearts, for giving me some prompts to work with. And how I do that, I do my daily pull, and sometimes it's a busy and hectic day. What I've really enjoyed is using their daily questions as spread positions. So I'll take a chunk of their dailies, maybe 2, 3, 4 days, and use that as a reading, which is has been really beneficial. So a little bit bigger of a reading, whereas most days I might do a daily pull, my card of the day, and then what action I should take with that card of the day. That's kind of been my daily practice, is pulling a card for the energy of the day and then saying, so now what? Or like, basically like, and so what? And like, what do I do with that? So how do I take action and use the energy of that card of the day? But my main card is the energy of the day, and I've really started to, at the end of the day, go back. Sometimes it's the next day, but go back and really reflect on how that energy was present. One of the things that I started doing, and please forgive me because I am totally blanking on her name and her tarot channel, but I started doing mind maps of my readings, not during my readings, but I kind of went back. You'll see this one was the Awakening Awareness reading. I went back, especially the readings that kind of really hit hard for me. I went back and made a crazy mind map of that reading to kind of build it out even more in my mind and build the web even more, which I found very valuable. I did that for a couple of readings this month. So I found that very, very valuable as far as like learning and instilling and really reflecting on that reading again, because sometimes you do a reading and then you just maybe like move on with your day, but I found it really valuable to like go back and map the reading out. I still am keeping track of my daily pulls, my daily energy. I do think you'll see the Hermit is stalking me, especially towards the middle of the month. And, you know, I think that was kind of really when I was going through some, I'll call it more transformative thoughts and really diving deep internally. Let's see, what else happened in March? Oh, I did do a deck modification, and I modified the Goddess of Love Tarot, and now it's this cute little dainty girl, and I edged it in kind of a pink color. And I really enjoyed it. I cut the borders off. I left the tops. I don't know if I regret that or not, but I still wanted to have the numbers for the major arcana, because I'm still learning tarot, and some of these are renamed, so I still kind of need that guide. But I'll be honest, I love this deck, but I kind of miss the borders. I mean, this deck is, now that it's smaller, it's easier to handle. Like, I have decent sized hands, but now and with the borders, it's bigger than a traditional tarot deck, and now you can see it's more appropriate. Not appropriate, but more in line with a standard size tarot deck, so it's easier to handle. It's still bowed, it came that way, but it's a little bit better. It's not as evident. So I haven't worked with it much since trimming it. I need to kind of rebuild my relationship with it now that I don't want to say butchered it, but now that I've made it my own, I need to work with this a little bit more, because I love this deck. I really enjoyed working with this one in February, and I definitely want to work with it some more. So hopefully in April, this one will make a comeback. So let's talk books. In April, I read The Changeling, A Book of Qualities by Aidan Watcher. And I really read through this book to get an understanding of what it was about. I read through it pretty quickly, and I think that was somewhat mind-changing. It was transformative just reading through it in general. I didn't necessarily do any of the practices or the reflections. So one thing that's what this book is about and how it's structured is it's Aiden goes through the qualities or the characteristics of a witch. And as I was reading this, I realized that there's a lot of things, a lot of these qualities that I already have as part of my practice. And, you know, I've never called myself a witch, but I thought that was really interesting. And so I wanted more. I wanted to understand more. There's definitely things in here that I had not thought about and are not part of my practice. And so I kind of want to dive deeper into those nuances and go back through and sit with each of the qualities and maybe do some of the practices. But definitely what I'm going to do is go back through and work through the questions, the journal prompts for each of these qualities and reflect on those and dive deeper and see how these qualities are present in my life. If they're present in my life, do I want to incorporate them into my life a little bit more? So this, along with another book I'm reading the Inner Temple by Christopher Penczak. It really inspired me to change from an electronic journal to a written journal. Now, I'm not going to flip through this because I was really nervous about even showing it, but I think it's fine just showing the cover of it. So I, rather than typing and doing my journaling electronically, I wanted to really take the time to write things down. And so as I've read through this and I do my daily journaling in here now, and as I reflect on books that I'm reading and my daily tarot draws, I'm writing that down in my journal. So that's a pretty big change for me for March. I used to journal pretty heavily when I was younger and in my 20s, but I've had partners in the past who have not respected that space. And so I got away from doing that and put it electronically. But now I feel comfortable with, having a physical journal to be able to really think through things and really integrate my thoughts by writing them. I also did, for fun, start reading The Mists of Avalon, or actually I'm listening to the audiobook in the evenings just to kind of prep for bed and wind down my day. One of my goals was to start working with the Legend Arthurian Tarot, which I haven't done. I started my Deck and Walk, and with this Changeling and the Inner Temple and some other books that I want to read, I just don't have time for a specific deck study right now. But I did find Sadhana with Integrated Healing. She is actually doing her own deep dive deck study and putting out videos on it. So I'm so excited. It was it's meant to be that I don't have the capacity right now to dive deep, but at least, I can still kind of have that connection with the book or the deck as I'm reading the book, The Mists of Avalon. So eventually I'll work with the deck on a more personal level, but her videos at least give me a little bit of taste of working with the deck. So I'm so grateful for that. The book that I am wanting to read for April is When God Had a Wife, and I really want to dive deeper into the divine goddess, the sacred feminine, and how that relates to Christianity, Judaism. And so I thought this would be a really good book to maybe start that process, start that journey. So this is my book that I'm hopefully going to dive into in April, as well as working through Changeling. So some crystals that I got. There's a really cool crystal shop that I like to go to, and I like to just go there and enjoy the vibes. It feels so good just walking around there, and so sometimes I'll just go in and just enjoy the atmosphere. But this time I did get a couple of things while I was there. There is this really gorgeous bigger crystal that I picked up and told myself that this was not the month for it. I need to budget myself a little bit more. So I put that back. It was not the time, but oh man, it was so gorgeous. It was like, I believe it was green volcanic glass, but when I looked at it, and it was like in a flame shape, and so when I looked at it, it looked like a crystal I could do some scrying in, and that's why I picked it up. Like it immediately called out to me, but maybe I'll go back and see if it's still there at some point, and if it's there, it was meant to be, and if not, someone else needed it more than I did. But I think one of the things with working with serpent fire and the Egyptian theme and the structure, I've been really called to working with like pyramids and points. And so I did pick up a couple of things. So I have this little howlite pyramid that's so cute, and this is actually purple opal. Purple's one of my favorite colors, so I'm really drawn to it. I like that it also has like this little corner of white opal. And then an amethyst Merkaba. I don't know why I was drawn to this, probably just because it was purple, but I needed it in my life. You've probably seen it in some videos. I have it over here on my desk, so that's where it's living right now. And then I also was drawn to this labradorite point. I really like this stone, and this point just feels like it has such strong and directive energy. Like if you put some intentions in this, something will happen, is what that feels like to me. And then when I put the volcano glass back, I was just kind of walking by the stand of the crystal quartz, and I just grabbed this. I don't know why, but I'm so glad I did. I love this thing, and it actually, my Serpent Fire Tarot deck immediately claimed this. So this lives with my Serpent Fire deck now. This is her crystal. So I think that that's fun. So those are the crystals that I got for this month. So I did, talk through how Serpent Fire was my favorite deck that I used in March. I feel like at the beginning of March, I thought I was going to use so many decks. And I talked through, these are the decks that I have the intention of using and that I'm going to be using this month. I'm not going to do that anymore, because every time I say, I'm going to work with this deck, it goes out the window. So, won't be doing that anymore. But I did get some new decks into my collection this month. A couple of them you've already seen. One of them is the Wild Whispers Oracle. I do have a walkthrough on this one, I believe, which goes with, it's by Nat Gersberger, the creator of Radiant Wilds Tarot. And I have the Radiant Wilds in my Magpie deck, and I love the cards every time they come up, and I'm trying really hard not to rebuy the whole deck just to have it as a standalone deck, but I may still do that. I'm telling myself that Serpent Fire scratches that itch. and this deck actually works really well with Serpent Fire as well. I mean, I just love the colors and, you know, living with the desert in this one. So if you want to see more of the cards, check out my walkthrough. Let's see. Another deck that I got this month is the Ritual Tarot. And this one, I haven't worked with it too much yet, but I'm going to really enjoy working with this one, I think. One thing I found interesting as the month progressed is that I was really wanting to work with some darker decks, and I was really drawn to decks that were maybe a little bit darker and darker than what I would normally be drawn to. I like really bright, colorful decks, and this one and another deck that I got this month really kind of called out to me. So hopefully I will make time to work with this. I feel like there's like a specific time that I need to work with this deck, and I haven't necessarily made the time for that in March, but I think in April will be the month that I will work with this. I'll make time. Of course, here I am just saying, I'm not going to say what decks I'm working with in April. I'm just going to let it go with the flow, and here I am going, I'm working with this deck. Another deck, oh, I didn't even pull it out, but it's right here. I got the Celestial Bodies Oracle, and really I got this for my deck and walk, and since I really enjoy Serpent Fire, this is the astrology deck from the same creator as Serpent Fire, Faye Wolf, and since I really enjoyed her art, this is the deck that I wanted for my astrological deck as I do the deck and walk this year. And so I'm enjoying doing that. It also has so much more in here. Like we have the South Node, North Node, Black Moon, Lilith, first quarter moon, the moon cycles, full moon, the astrological signs, the houses, masculine, feminine, the elements, yeah, fixed, mutable, cardinals over on my table. You got the conjunctions, the positions, and then some numerology. So I thought this was a really interesting deck, and as I dive more into astrology this year, this will be my learning deck. And that's really what it's for. Like it says, don't necessarily use this as an astrology deck or like an oracle deck. Use it as a learning deck. And it does have some spreads, but it comes with a 2-volume guidebook. The first one is how to use the deck, some unique spreads, an intro to astrology, the luminaries and the planets, eclipses, moon phases, Saturn return, and the signs. And then the other one is the houses, angles, dualities, triplicities, quadruplicities, aspects and aspect patterns, numerology, your natal chart, and tables and graphs. So there's really so much in here. And it also goes through, you know, the artwork description, the description of like the meaning, key terms, basically the upright or the light meaning and the shadow meaning, a question to reflect on, some suggested practices, and then a mantra to use. So I feel like this deck is so valuable, and I am really going to enjoy working with this one. And I already have been working with it. The other deck that I think everybody's probably seen that I got this month is Windbell Island. I have an unboxing on here, which, I mean, come on. I also use this as my weekly check-in deck for this week. But, oh, these backs are so gorgeous. I love them. It's probably the purple, let's be real. But like I said, brightly colored decks are my jam, and I couldn't resist this one. So you'll be seeing this one on my channel as I play with it and use it in my readings. So this one will be fun to work with. If you want to see a flip through of the entire deck, it is on my channel. Let's see. So I said I was drawn to darker decks, and this is one of those. This is the Lacrimosa Tarot by Rose Bay Tarot. Then you can get it on Make Playing Cards. These are the backs. And there's a lot of walkthroughs and reviews about this deck that you can find. The little black book goes through the art and what pictures, paintings were used. And so I was really drawn to this deck just from like the close-ups, and it felt like it would be a good intuitive read for me to really dig into feelings and maybe do some shadow work through some of the changeling, or some just, I guess, shadow work that I need to work on, you know, things I need to process. I think these darker decks really help me personally really feel into my emotions a little bit. Sometimes I avoid that and I want to just keep going, which is why I think I'm drawn to the brighter colors, but I'm really challenging myself and wanting to dive a little bit deeper into these. And this is just such a gorgeous deck. I don't know that I have any other decks that have this kind of style, but I'm looking forward to working with this for sure. Like, look at that 4 of coins. That's awesome. So that is the Lacrimosa Tarot. And then the last deck that I got, I did not buy it at the same time that I bought the Ritual Tarot, but I did get the Cave of Sybil. I've only flipped through this one, and when I tell you that I'm so uncomfortable with this deck, it's it's kind of funny. Something's calling me to work with this deck and work with some darker decks. And I do not like this. And maybe it's because right now I'm watching Yellow Jackets. If you haven't seen that show, it's very interesting. It's about girls who their plane crashes in the woods and they are stuck and they are influenced by something magical. And it's very interesting, and I'm really enjoying the show. And maybe that's why I'm being drawn to these darker decks, or maybe it's all connected and I'm watching the show because I'm being drawn towards some more gritty energies. But this deck, flipping through it, has made me so uncomfortable. My first reaction was like, oh no, I am never going to touch this deck and I'm never going to work with it. But I do think I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since I got the deck. And so I'm going to probably incorporate this into my practice somehow. I mean, this deck really makes me squirm, and I need to figure out why. And I think that's the point of it, right? But so I'm planning on diving deeper. It's probably going to be slow for me, maybe one card a month. I'm not sure exactly how, but I'm intrigued to start working with this one, and something's calling me to work with it. So it should be interesting. It'll probably just be part of all the explorations and the changes that I'm going through. And I feel like March opened me up a little bit more than I already was. And I feel like April, if I allow myself to continue, that there's going to be some big transformation, or I don't know, alchemical process going on. So I feel like, I'm diving deep into my own personal spiritual practice and wanting to continue that and allow myself to explore, really. So let me fix my camera. All right. So for April, I've been doing a deck study with the Earthwoman Tarot with Carrie over at Carrie's Mystical Musings. We've gone through the majors, and we've gone through the wands and the cups, and we still have the swords and the pentacles left to go. So I've really enjoyed going through this deck and diving deeper into it. I mean, bright colors, it's hard for me to say no to this, but this is a really good deck. I've really enjoyed working with it and the softer vibes. So that's one thing that I will continue in April. Another thing that I'm kind of missing, and I'm going to enlist your help on this. I found so much value in my 31 Days of Tarot challenge in January that it really transformed my tarot reading and my tarot reading practice. And I still want to continue practicing reading tarot. And I want to build on that progress that I made this month. So I think what I'd like to do is open it up to you all and offer, I'd like to do at least 10 free readings in exchange for constructive feedback. I'll film them, I'll post them privately on YouTube and give a link. I won't share them with anyone but you, but I would say I'd like to do 10 readings, I think. And so feel free to find me on Instagram and shoot me a message or email me. I would really appreciate anybody who's willing to, let me try my hand at doing a reading for them. I think that would be fun. Another thing that I'm going to do, I do plan on dusting off the book that I was using in January and, working through those readings as well and doing practice readings in that regard. But I would really like to do readings for real people. So hoping that you'll shoot me a note and I can try my hand at that. And so I think those are my big plans for April. I feel like I'll be continuing my deck and walk journey. I've really enjoyed that. We're starting Aries 2 this week and next week moving on to Aries 3. So I'm enjoying that process of learning and connecting the dots with the astrology. So that's been really fun. So I hope you all have a fantastic April. Let me know your thoughts. Are any of these decks ones that you're thinking of working with? What are your thoughts on Cave of Sybil? It's an interesting deck. I love how it makes me squirm a little bit. So I'm definitely looking forward to working with that energy a little bit more and working through my squeamishness a little bit. So let me know what your practices are that you're planning on doing in April. I'd really appreciate that. I love seeing all the videos of people doing the monthly recaps and look aheads and all of that. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.